This is another alert. Cocaine, fentanyl, reportedly detected in the toxicology results of those 3 Kansas City Chiefs fans found frozen to death last month, the beginning of January, after that watch party.
So this is what we know. These are only preliminary results, but sources with direct knowledge of the case tell TMZ that other substances may surface once the official results come out. We know that the family members of those fans who died have a copy of the report, but they have not confirmed what it says.
All right, this comes after we learned that Jordan Willis, the host of the party, checked himself into rehab. He is not currently facing any charges, and police insist the deaths are not being investigated as homicides. But should they be? Let's bring in Dr. Michael Baden. He's right here, pathologist, Fox News contributor. Dr. Baden, this revelation, we thought about drugs,
right.
Reasonable people thought it was drugs. What does this tell you? Cocaine and fentanyl.
As Lauren said, we have to wait for the official report to come out, but it appears at this time that there was fentanyl and other drugs present. Fentanyl is used by doctors because it's a powerful painkiller, and one of the side effects is making a person sleepy. And what happened here, I think, could have been that the 4 of them used the drugs together. The one fellow who comes in and sleeps on the couch indoors sleeps it off.
2 days.
For a while, more than 24 hours, right? Whereas the other 3 get sleepy and pass out outside, and because of the weather and because of the snow, their body temperature drops very quickly from 98 degrees to 80 degrees, at which point, less than an hour, the heart can't beat anymore accurately, so they die of a cardiac arrest due to hyperthermia. It is very unusual for 3 people using, or 4 people using drugs together to die simultaneously from fentanyl. The effects on people varies a great deal. So it's less likely to be overdoses and more likely to be hypothermia caused by passing out from the fentanyl.
What does that tell you then? If all 4 of them experienced, I mean, he fell asleep on the sofa. Thankfully, he wasn't outside at the time. The other 3 were. What does that tell you about the power, how powerful these drugs are?
We don't know what all the drugs are. Fentanyl is the most powerful of these drugs mentioned. And it varies a great deal. There was something in the paper about somebody having a 30. The fentanyl is measured in micrograms. Very small amount, causes a lot of... at 30, some people will die 30, and other people can go up to 100 or 200 and not die. See, it varies on the individuals. So it'd be extremely unusual for a true overdose to kill them, but they would all get sleepy, and if they pass out in the snow, they die. One of the factors is it's a painless death. They don't have any pain when they pass out, or they don't have any pain from the cold.
So, Doctor, we know we're in the middle of a drug crisis, and if the report is true that they were mixing the cocaine with fentanyl, there was a report and there was a bulletin done by the DA, and they unclassified this. And the concern was people were using cocaine and fentanyl based together because they were using the fentanyl to substitute for the heroin. Why would people think that fentanyl is heroin? What type of effect? Because they sent this to all the medical examiners because people were dropping like flies. What makes them the same?
Well, fentanyl and fentanyl both are laboratory-made chemical, drug narcotics, and they both have similar effects, but fentanyl is much stronger than heroin, and heroin is much stronger than morphine, which is the original one. But when they're mixed with cocaine, sometimes addicts will mix a downer. Fentanyl is a downer, makes you go to sleep. Cocaine is an upper, and some drug users think if you mix them together, it makes it safer, and that's not true. They'll mix it together, makes it worse, and most fentanyl deaths combine other drugs with them.
Right. I'm happy to say I'm not an experienced drug user, so this might sound naive. Could it be that someone gets cocaine and people put fentanyl in it, they don't know it?
Oh, absolutely. That's part of the problem. Fentanyl is very cheap. It's very cheap for the drug lords and all, so that they can mix fentanyl with marijuana, they mix fentanyl with cocaine, and that's why, and it's much more powerful than the other drugs. So the 4 of them may not even known what they were getting. They might have thought they were getting cocaine, and instead it's fentanyl. And that's why, as Lauren said, we have to wait for the official toxicology
But you do have a
report.
witness. A guy that
Sounds
lived
like-
through it, right?
It sounds like the guy who was asleep on the sofa probably told police, because they said this is 100% not a homicide. People were accusing him, and he said, I didn't do anything. I bet he told police, this is the honest truth, this is what we were doing.
Well-
and maybe gave them the drug dealer's name or number, and then police knew what they were dealing with.
Absolutely. That one thing, the police come there and they got things from the scene, so they may have the packets or whatever the drugs were contained in, and they would have known, and that's why they said right away that it's not a murder, and they right away said, gave the impression it was a drug overdose. And the amounts of the drug are going to be very important into being certain about how the effects were. The initial report says trace of cocaine and fentanyl. Fentanyl is much more likely to cause death than
I always
cocaine.
thought coke had you race. Fentanyl overcomes what coke does.
They do different things, but they don't overcome. They just add to each other. One makes you higher, one makes you lower, but they don't cancel each other out, which some of the drug
You can't
users
even dabble
think.
anymore. You can't try it. You can't. It's not worth it. One mistake.
Very little bit of
Everything.
cocaine of fentanyl can cause death, but a very lot may not. They find fentanyl users driving erratically have 100
Don't do
micrograms.
drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Dr. Baden,
it's just
thanks
so
so much.
sad. They have
Thank you.
children.
We'll be waiting
all
for
right.
the
Yeah,
Thanks,
when we
Dr.
get the
Baden.
big test, we'll have Dr. Baden back.
Right.
Thanks, Doc.